What's up, YouTube gamers? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic gives you the chance to make the journey from an amnesiac soldier to lightsaber-wielding legend with the power to change the course of the galaxy. Whether you are looking to enter the realm of Supreme Lord of the Sith or save the galaxy and become the savior of the Republic, there is one thing for certain: your lightsaber will bring you to your goal. Not only is this the weapon to lead you to your goals, but
this weapon is your life.
This is a comprehensive guide for the lightsaber in BioWare's 2003 KOTOR on where to find the crystals, their effects, and how to build your perfect lightsaber for your character playstyle if you don't decide to forego the weapon of the ancient warriors. Before we jump into any builds or such, we need to get a few things out of the way. First off, we have to cover the crystals and their effects on the lightsaber so that you can find these on your journey. Along with the upgrade crystals, there are also color crystals. Most of these crystals just adapt the color to red, blue, green, yellow, or purple. However, included in the DLC that included Yavin Station, there were two special color crystals to be bought from Suvam. The first is the Heart of the Guardian that glows with a bright gold and costs 20,000 credits. Though its origins have been lost, the legendary artifact known as the Heart of the Guardian was rumored to have been instrumental in the founding of the Guardian Order of Jedi. Nothing further is mentioned in any Jedi archive, but both Sith and Jedi whisper the own legends. According to the Jedi, the Heart will appear in a time of greatest turmoil and deliver the galaxy into salvation. The Sith, however, believe it to be an object of their heritage, which will bring the galaxy under their dominion. The Heart of the Guardian appears to be a magnificently shaped lightsaber crystal of unknown composition. Analysis by Suvam Tan has yielded inconclusive results, not being able to identify what mineral it's made of. Suvam has even begun to wonder if it is a normal crystal at all, for at times it almost seems as if it were alive. All known lightsaber crystals seem to have a strange resonance with the Heart of the Guardian, their properties being altered or enhanced when they are in close proximity to it. Additionally, energy focused through the heart results in a beam of unique clarity and color. The second is the Mantle of the Force that brings your blade to a beautiful cyan blue and worth 25,000 credits. The Mantle of the Force is an item assembled by Suvam Tan from pieces found in the ruins of Exile Kun's temple on the fourth moon orbiting Yavin. It appears to be the remains of an even older artifact of unknown origin. It is not known if it was used by Exile Kun or just uncovered when his temples were destroyed. Nor is it known that the original properties of the item were, but given the current abilities, in its original state it must have been fearsome indeed. The Mantle is a crystalline lattice, resembling a lightsaber crystal in many ways, but having the additional property of being able to radically alter the flow of energy that passes through it. When combined with other crystals, the Mantle warps their properties, often enhancing them to incredible levels. Additionally, the Mantle seems to almost act as a focusing tool for Force-sensitive individuals, leading to the idea that the original artifact may have once been a powerful tool of the Sith, or perhaps something they took with them when the Dark Jedi originally split from the Order. Both of these crystals will either change or upgrade the crystal's effects on your lightsaber, and I will include each effect for the crystals. With that, let's get to it. Two of the Rubot crystal can be found in the Crystal Cave on Dantooine. It has a base addition of +1 to attack and a +1 to energy damage. With the Heart of the Guardian equipped, the crystal has a +2 attack and 2 energy damage, while the Mantle of the Force changes the properties to a 3 regeneration of Force points. The Diamond Crystal can be found on Dark Jedi enemies on Tatooine, Kashyyyk, and on Deck 1 of the Starforge. A fourth crystal can be gotten from Kel Alguin, the Sith questioning himself on Korriban in the Shyrat Caves. The crystal has an attack modifier of +3. The Heart of the Guardian adds 2 energy damage to the saber. The Mantle of the Force lowers the attack modifier to +1 and adds a single point of energy in return of adding 2 regeneration to Force points. The Eralam Crystal is found on Korriban in the Dresh Day area from Dak Vesser. The crystal has an attack modifier of +2 and adds 2 energy damage. Once the Heart of the Guardian or the Mantle of the Force is equipped, the crystal adds a +3 to attack and a 3 to energy damage. The Sapith Crystal is found in the temple on the Rakuten planet on the main floor and the catacombs, both in a rune-covered pillar. The crystal adds a +2 to attack and 3 to energy damage. When either the Heart of the Guardian or the Mantle of the Force is equipped, the bonus is increased to +3 attack and 4 energy damage. The Nextor Crystal can be found on Dark Jedi on Kashyyyk and Deck 1 of the Starforge, as well as Tomb of Nagasato on Skeletal Remains. The crystal has a +1 attack modifier and the Keen modifier. Both the crystals remove the Keen attribute. When the Heart of the Guardian or the Mantle of the Force is equipped, the attack modifier is +1 and adds 1 energy damage. The Opila Crystal can be found in the Eastern Dune Sea, in some rubble in the Tomb of Tulak Horde on Korriban, from Jorak Ohm. The crystal has an additional 3 energy damage with massive criticals of 2 to 12 damage, also referred to as a 2d6 rolled on critical hits. When either the Heart of the Guardian or the Mantle of the Force are equipped, the crystal has an attack modifier of +2 added to the base. The Jin Rao Crystal can be found on Manon, on 2 different Dark Jedi in the Sith base. A third crystal can be gotten on Korriban in the Shirak cave from Talia May, one of the runaway Sith. The crystal adds a +5 to blaster bolt deflection and 2 to energy damage. When the Heart of the Guardian is equipped, the crystal gains an addition +2 deflection for a total of +7. For the Mantle of the Force, the crystal gains a +1 to dexterity. The Fond crystal can be found on Korriban in the Tomb of Tulak Horde from Mekil. The crystal adds a 1d6 of physical piercing damage to the lightsaber. The Heart of the Guardian and the Mantle both increase it to a 1d10 bonus of physical slashing damage. The Luxum crystal is found on Manon, on the Dark Jedi Master in the Sith base. The crystal has an attack modifier of +2 and adds 1 to 6 energy damage against droids. Both of the modifying crystals grant a +3 to attack and 2 to 12 ion damage for droids. The Firkron crystal can be found on Korriban in the Tomb of Tulak Horde in a clay urn and from Lashau. The crystal has an attack modifier of +2 and deals addition 2 to 12 energy damage for droids. The 2 modifying crystals upgrade a +3 attack modifier and a 3 to 18 damage against droids. The Bondar crystal can be found earliest on Dantooine in the Crystal Cave and on Korriban from a Sith apprentice in Dreshdae, and the Tomb of Tulak Horde in a clay urn. The crystal has a 25% on-stun chance with a DC of 10. The Heart of the Guardian has a 25% stun chance with a DC of 14, while the Mantle has a on-hit 25% paralysis chance at a DC of 14. The only difference between the two being stun has a will saving throw and the paralysis has a reflex saving throw. The Sigil crystal can be found on Nemo's remains in the ruins of Dantooine and on Manon and the Harakat station on some remains. The crystal has an attack modifier of +1 and an energy damage of 1 to 6. The 2 modifying crystals upgraded to a +2 attack modifier and a 1 to 8 energy range damage. The Upari crystal is found on the temple main floor from the Sith Master on the Rakatan planet. The base crystal has an attack modifier of +3 and an additional energy damage of 1 to 8. With the Heart of the Guardian, the crystal becomes a +4 to attack modifier and an energy damage range of 2 to 12 or a 2d6. The Mantle of the Force changes the crystal reduced to be an attack modifier of +2, energy damage range of 1 to 6, but an additional 8 to blaster bolt deflection. This crystal has a special stark contrast of offensive power versus defensive power. The Solari crystal is found in the Tomb of Nagasato on Korriban on some remains. The base crystal is only one that has a restriction to light side. The base of the crystal has an attack modifier of +3, a damage bonus of 3 physical piercing damage, and a 1 to 8 bonus damage against dark side enemies. The Heart of the Guardian modifies the properties to an attack modifier of +1, an energy damage bonus of 1 to 10, and a +4 to blaster bolt deflection. The Mantle of the Force gives the properties of a +4 to attack, a damage energy bonus of 1 to 8, and a 2 to 12 damage bonus for dark side enemies. The Krayt Dragon Pearl is obtained from the interaction with Komad and the Krayt Dragon to get the star map on Tatooine. A single pearl is always gotten, and a second may be gotten if you decide to cut down Komad and take the 2 pearls for yourself. The pearl has an attack modifier of +3, and an energy damage bonus of 2. The Heart of the Guardian has an attack modifier of +3, and a damage energy bonus of 1 to 8. The Mantle of the Force has a +4 attack modifier and a blaster bolt deflection of +3. Now that you have the context for all the crystals that can be slotted into lightsabers, I will go through what my personal opinions are on the best lightsaber builds. After you hit the subscribe button, because it would be super cool if you did, and I like Star Wars, and you like Star Wars, so that means we like Star Wars, and we should all band together and like Star Wars together. I also play other games too, so that's cool. Anyway, the builds will be split in a couple sections. There will be a pre-Starforge system section and a post-entering of the Starforge system because 1. There are 2 crystals that are only available to get on this planet, and 2. Going into the Starforge, the amount of dark side enemies including Bastila and Malak one-on-one fights greatly benefit from one of these crystals and will potentially be included in every Starforge offensive build. For each section, I will try to focus on main builds like offensive versus defensive for a single blade, dual wield, and double blade. My evaluation for the dual wielding will also be for 2 regular lightsabers, as I don't believe in that baby shit short lightsaber with a 2d6 damage range versus a 2d8. You'll be so strong, and with the feat bonuses and only a -2 in the offhand, the crystal bonuses will outweigh this tremendously. I will also be using the single blade for each build and the dual wield, as your best bonuses should be applied to the main hand because when you use flurry or force speed, the additional hits are based off of your main hand weapon. Also, Up front, the double blade and main hand single blade will have the same crystal build because there really isn't any reason not to max the same way as you would turn your main hand. Pre-Starforge system without crystals. For a single blade or double blade offense build, prior to the Starforge with a base color crystal, you are going to slot in the Solari crystal if you are light-sided and the Krayt Dragon Pearl if not. The Solari adds 3 to the attack modifier and 3 damage always, with 1 to 8 against dark side enemies. The Dragon Pearl for the plus 3 attack modifier and 2 damage, and the Sigil Crystal for the 1 to 6 range of added damage. The Sigil Crystal is always added since the damage range has higher potential and the other crystal will add consistent damage. This adds a total range of 3 to 8 with the Krayt Dragon, or 4 to 9 with the Solari, damage as well as hitting a plus 4 will buff your chance to hit a great amount. The Lightsaber will have a 5 to 28 damage range with a plus 4 attack modifier and regular crit chance of 10%. If you are willing to let go of the plus 1 hit chance for some physical damage to slip past some energy shields, the energy damage of the Sigil would not. You could instead go with the Fond to add 1d6 physical damage. The Lightsaber will have a range added of 3 to 8 with 1 to 6 damage physical, with the stats of 5 to 28 damage range, with a plus 3 attack modifier and a crit chance of 10. For the offhanded saber, I will do it without the Krayt Dragon Pearl since it takes a specific dark side choice to use 2 of the pearls. If you have it available, you should slot it in for one of the 2. Beyond that, the offhand saber for offense should have the Sigil Crystal and the Arount Crystal. To total, if you have every possible crystal at your disposal, your main hand would be the Solari and the Sigil Crystals. The offhand would have the Krayt Dragon and the Sigil Crystal for a plus 4 chance to hit and a 3 to 8 damage. If you are running a critical hit build with the critical strike skill, you can instead go for the Nextor Crystal to gain the Keen modifier and Opula Crystal for the 2 to 12 massive criticals with a 3 base damage added. The Keen will add 10% critical chance to the lightsabers and a 5% chance to double lightsabers. With a master critical strike of a lightsaber, the 10% chance is quadrupled to 40% and then 10% is added on. With the double blade, the percent becomes 25. If you are dual-wielding sabers and going for criticals, you will want to put another Nextor crystal in this saber to maximize your critical chance, and then add either the Krayt Dragon or the Solari because you will want a high chance to crit with the highest chance to hit. For a defensive build with the crystals, will focus less on damage output and more on the survival chance that it gives you from enemies. This type of saber would be used if you are handicapping yourself to damaging only with the Force, mines, or grenades, but allow yourself to use the saber for defensive capability. For a defensive lightsaber, you would use a single blade only, as well as since this allows you to use the dueling feat and gain the plus 3 to defense that is not offered when dual wielding or using a double blade. For the saber, you will add the Jinrao crystal and the Solari or the Krayt Dragon. These aren't any other crystal beside the Jinrao that offer a defensive bonus, so just use the Pearl or Solari for the chance to hit, increase, and damage against dark side enemies. Following the final star map, you are allowed to go to Yavin Station and get the Heart of the Guardian and the Mantle of the Force, color crystal slots for a whopping 45,000 credits, so you better be saving up. With that, you also get access to the Upari and Sapith crystals that have very decent bonuses. For a light side offensive build, the main hand or the double-bladed lightsaber should use the Mantle of the Force and the Solari crystal. This will add a 1d8 base energy with an additional 2 to 12 against the many unending dark side enemies on the Starforge, and most importantly against Malak. For the second crystal, you will want to equip the Opula. The sigil becomes a 1 to 8 damage increase, however the Opula retains the massive critical 2 to 12 damage with a 3 damage bonus and a plus 2 modifier. With any amount of critical hits on your lightsaber, the base 3 damage and higher chance to hit make this lightsaber an absolute beast. The final stats would look at having a range of 6 to 27 damage, with the range extending to 8 to 39 against dark side enemies. If you score a critical hit against a dark side enemy, you can hit a disgusting range of 18 to 90 damage with the added massive critical. 90 freaking damage, dude. Could you believe it? This is paired with a plus 6 to hit, so you are basically only going to have a 5% chance to miss, rolling a 1 on the d20. On a double-bladed lightsaber, the extra 4 damage can be doubled, and the regular range would be 6 to 31, and on the dark side, crit would be 18 to 98. If you are on the dark side and can't use the Solari crystal, instead your main hand should use the Heart of the Guardian with the Opula crystal for the reasons stated above, and the Upari crystal. The Upari will add a 2 to 12 energy damage range with a plus 4 to hit. So with the final stats, there will be a range of 7 to 31 damage on the lightsaber, and 7 to 35 on a double-bladed. If you dual wield, you should interchange the Mantle and the Heart with whichever is not in the main hand. If you are light side and you use the Mantle and the Solari in the main hand, the offhand will use the Heart with the Upari and the Crate Dragon Pearl. The Crate Dragon with the heart will have a 1d8 added damage and a +3 attack modifier. If you are dark side and Solari isn't an option, the heart is on the main hand. In the offhand, you have the Mantle of the Force and the Sabbath Crystal with either the Sigil or Arelon. The Arelon has a better attack bonus by 1 and it recoups another point of offhand loss, but the Sigil will add the 1d8 energy damage range with a +2 attack bonus. A defensive build with the main hand would be the Mantle of the Force with the Upari Crystal. In this state, the added blaster bolt deflection is +8 with a +2 attack modifier so you can defensively hit enemies. The other crystal would be the Genrao because this is huge as it adds 5 to the blaster bolt deflection and more importantly a +1 to dexterity. The dexterity addition could potentially add a +1 to your armor and this gives you a better chance not to be hit by enemies. I don't know what else could be more defensive than that. I'm not going to go into a dual wield scenario here because the most it can do is add more blaster bolt deflection and the main hand is already having a +13 to blaster deflection, so they basically only have a 5% chance to hit if they score 20 on the enemy's attack roll. Instead of a critical build, I will do a force build since Keen only exists on the crystal with no Heart of Guardian or Mantle of the Force. The force build will have the Mantle of the Force on the main hand with the Rubat Crystal and the Damon Crystals. This will give you a regen of force points of 5. This is massive if you are running a dark side run with force only since all damaging force powers are dark side focused. If you are going to run an offhand, then you should run a semi-defensive build with the Heart of the Guardian and the Genrao Crystal for a +7 to blaster bolt deflection. If you are light side, you can add the Solari Crystal for additional 4 to deflection, and beyond that, if you're dark side, I don't care what you add, that's up to you. And that's my complete guide to lightsaber crystals and the different lightsaber builds. All of these are obviously somewhat opinion based and I did no math to average out damage or anything of the sort, so if you take my word it doesn't get worked out, then I don't know, maybe you did bad attributes because I have crushed in every single playthrough with these setups. If you want to see me play through KOTOR 2 or any other games, I have my Twitch channel where you can follow me. The streams are pretty sparse, but I get to the game on mostly Sundays. I also have a Discord where we can grow the community and discuss things from YouTube and streaming. On my Twitch I have a donation link so that I can update my recordings and streaming setups so that I'm solely using it for this purpose. Thank you all for watching, and remember, a man is lost without the sauce, but that same man can get lost in the sauce. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Later, gamers.